Good morning, everyone. This is Tiffany Harrison. I am the head counselor at Milton High School, and I will be delivering the registration 101 session for rising 12th graders. We've done a really good job of providing information specific to grade level. So if your student is not a rising senior, this presentation is not for you. We do have all individual grade level presentations listed on the Milton Counseling website. So I recommend navigating back to that page and choosing the proper grade level. First, I'll introduce our team. Again, I'm Tiffany Harrison. I'm the Counseling Department Chair and Acting Dual Enrollment Coordinator. Ms. Lehman has students with last names A through COR. Ms. Hoaglander has students with last names COS through HOK. Ms. Bartley has students with last names HOL through MC. Ms. Rhodes has students with last names MD through SAN. And Ms. Wilson has students with last names SAO through Z. Additionally, our support staff, Mr. Damian Bentley, school social worker, Ms. Solomon, 504 coordinator, Mr. Burton, RTI and SST coordinator. He is currently on leave, so if you have a question about RTI or SST, please reach out to Ms. Maria Jerome or Ms. Shelby Young in the meantime. Ms. Barr is our records person, Ms. Height is our registrar, and Ms. Echevarria is our bilingual liaison. Registration process. Picking your courses for the upcoming year requires planning and thought. We want to make sure that you've met your graduation requirements by the end of your 4 years and that you're picking courses that are a good match for you. We follow a specific timeline for the course selection and registration process with time built in to make educated decisions. The final versions of selections are saved by the school and kept on file to use as a reference regarding a student's original selections. So that means that if you come to us, you're not sure what you wrote, you're not sure what you picked, we will produce that document for you so that we can look at your original choices. If you have questions or concerns when completing the paperwork piece, please reach out to your assigned counselor or use the resources provided later in the presentation. Here's our registration timeline. The week of January 22nd through the 26th, teachers will be meeting with students one-on-one in class and making course recommendations in Infinite Campus for the next school year. This is a great opportunity for your student to ask the teacher why or why not they're being recommended in certain ways. If you want to know why you're not being recommended for AP, that's who you would ask. If you want to know why they're not being recommended or why they are being recommended. Either way, teachers are making these recommendations using a plethora of data points. So it goes beyond, I made an 89 in this class. They are looking at, does your student keep up with the homework? Does your student participate in class? Does your student participate in group work? Does your student advocate for himself or herself if they're having a hard time with a concept? Do they come for extra study sessions? Do they perform well on quizzes and tests because they're studying? All of those things go into making a recommendation for a student. Students are so much more than the number grade. The following week, January 29th through February 2nd, students will be submitting their elective preferences on a paper elective form. So we'll get that form out to them on a Monday and they will turn it in on a Friday. Counselors will process those elective forms, put those electives in the system. And then on February 8th in advisement, students will receive their verification form and make all the desired changes. This is when, if your student wants to go against teacher recommendation, they can waive up. If they want to go online, they can write that in. If they want to stay in person, write that in. If a student wants to drop down in rigor because they don't want to take 6 APs next year, they can do that. This is the free-for-all time period where students can make whatever changes they want. We understand that once the students get these forms in their hands, they have a lot of questions. They have a lot of anxiety. They're nervous. Am I picking the right thing? We want to be as available as possible while students have these forms. So on Friday, February 9th and Monday, February 12th, counselors will be available for walk-ins in the media center for students only. Parents, please call or email if you have questions, but this is for students to come in and speak with a counselor about if they are taking the class that is right for them or if they should consider something different. We can't sustain independent bookings during the window that they have these forms because we have 2,000 students and we have 6 counselors. We have to be available for crisis situations. So this is the best way we can think to do it, is to just be in one place for 2 full school days where they can come in and out as they please. You will notice that students will have this form over a weekend. So in between the February 8th and February 14th due date, there's a weekend where students can talk to their friends. They can talk to other people who have graduated from Milton. They can talk to you, their parents. They can talk to teachers, ask questions, see what they want, see what they don't want. We want them to have enough time outside of school to really talk about what they're picking. The form is due on February 14th, Valentine's Day, to their counselor. Failure to submit a form indicates that everything looks good and that you don't want to make any changes. So by not participating in this process, that doesn't mean that you get to pick your stuff later. It means that everything you received was correct and that you didn't need to make changes. Something that's different this year from the past is that students will receive the verification of changes on February 23rd, but they will not be making additional changes at this point. So students will turn this form in on Valentine's with all their changes, online, in person, AP, honors, not AP. We'll make the changes and then we'll give them a form to verify, hey, we did everything you asked for. And then you will hang on to that form. You will keep it. You will keep it as verification that a change was made. We will save a verification that a change was made. And then the week after spring break in April, they will receive a second opportunity to make final adjustments to their courses. Again, failing to submit a form indicates that you are not interested in making any changes and that everything that you picked in February looks good and that you want to keep it. We are trying to be cognizant of the situations where a student got a job or had a major life change. That's our biggest complaint, is that between February and August, a lot of life happens, and it's too long of a gap from when they're making the choices to when it's actually happening. At the end of the day, we really want to get away from making schedule changes when the school year starts. And there are a variety of reasons of why we're trying to do that. Teachers can't start teaching content as early as they could if students weren't constantly moving in and out of their classes. Counselors would be able to focus their time at the beginning of the year on supporting students either transitioning to high school for the first time, working with new students to Milton and giving them the attention that they deserve. We would love to start other programs that would support students in, some kind of seminar, starting off the year strong, building good study habits. There are a lot of things that we would love to do at the beginning of the year other than the piece of our job that is schedules. So if we can get these schedules as solid as possible before the year starts, then that means that we can assist students in a more productive way when the school year starts. So that's always the goal. We will continue to be stringent on the schedule changes that happen once the school year starts. Registration is the time to make your selections. If you are a family that's new to Milton and you are not currently enrolled or registered, you can't partake in this process at this time. You're not in the classes receiving these papers. You don't have access to the counselors. So you pick your classes when you enroll at the school. You should not stress about missing these deadlines. These don't pertain to people who are not yet enrolled at Milton. These are deadlines for people who currently attend Milton, are in advisement, have access to counselors, things like that. So don't panic about that. So this is the course progression for a rising 12th grader. It looks like a lot on the front end, and it is, but the way that this document is, or this chart is meant to be read, is just left to right like a flow chart. It's 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4. I'm not going to read everything, but I'll go through a couple as an example, and I would recommend pausing the presentation on this slide and reading through to see where your student falls. This list is not exhaustive. There are avenues that some students have, but the majority of student pathways will be covered on this chart. So when you're looking at it, if your student is a junior and currently taking on-level American Lit, then they would be able to take on-level multicultural literature, which is your senior English, or they could do dual enrollment college English if they apply and get accepted. If your student is currently taking 11th Lit honors, they could go into AP Lang Senior or College English. If your student is a year ahead and taking on-level multi-lit, they could go into AP Lang Senior or dual enrollment college English. If your student is taking dramatic writing as a junior, next year they could take multicultural literature, AP Lang Senior, or dual enrollment. If your student is currently in, and let's do one that a lot of students are in, AP Lang American Lit. For students in AP Lang American Lit, they can go over to AP Lit or College English. So that's how this slide is meant to be read, left to right. You can pause it, go through, see what your options are. I would focus a lot on the history because government and economics are 2 semester-long classes that are required. You can kind of look through and see what your options are there. There are 4 types of courses at Milton that are available to seniors. The first is in-person courses. Those are taken face-to-face in the high school. I do want to reiterate that students are not permitted to change from in-person to online after registration is over. We also don't accept those change requests in the middle of the year. If a student is taking an online class, we also don't let them move back in person. So it works both ways. Again, it strongly affects our staffing. If we expect to have 150 students taking AP Psychology in person, we are going to hire a teacher that is teaching enough periods to sustain 150 students taking that class. If we allow students to move out of it, or if we allow students to move into it, then that's when we get into the situation of we could have a class so small that it has 5 kids. And if those kids aren't friends, then they're more liable to skip. There's no room to do group work because there's one size group. On the flip side, if we allow students to move back into the building, not accounting for them, then that's when we run out of seats. And we really, really do not want students to not have a seat in a class that they want or a class that they told us they wanted in the spring. We recommend that students take the majority of their classes in person. Statistically, they just perform better when they have a teacher that they form a relationship with face to face, that they can come to, that they can talk about their life with, that they can share a little bit more about what's going on. They're more comfortable. It's less of a stranger. They have easy access to them. They can come at more times than you have access to your online person. But if you insist on taking a virtual class, and I understand that everyone's needs are different, the first thing I want to share is that we will group these classes either at the beginning of your day or at the end of your day because we don't have a designated space for students to take online classes in the building. We do have a couple of exceptions. Those are underclassmen who, their courses conflict so badly that they can't take a class anytime other than 4th period online. And we have a space for them, but it is 15 students or less per period in those middle of the day periods. So we will block them at the beginning or end of the day. We do get a lot of questions on what the difference between Fulton and Georgia Virtual are. So the content is the same. No matter what, you are taking the same class. If you're taking Multicultural Lit and Fulton Virtual, it looks just the same as it does in Georgia Virtual. The biggest difference for us is that Fulton Virtual has fewer deadlines throughout the semester, and Georgia Virtual has more periodic deadlines throughout the semester. With Fulton Virtual, kids love that. They love that there are no deadlines, that they can push it off and they can forget about it until 3 weeks before the end of the semester, at which time they realize, oh my gosh, I haven't worked on my class. I have so much to do. I have projects, I have finals. If your student is a procrastinator, this will stress them out. If they are not good with managing their time or calendaring out a structured way to get their course done, they will freak out. Statistically, students earn lower grades in Fulton Virtual if they're not staying on top of their coursework, and that is just because they have waited till the last minute and the quality of work is not as good. They're super stressed out. Gavs they don't like as much. It's not because the work is harder, it's just because every 2 weeks you might have an assignment due. Statistically, they earn higher grades in Gavs because it has more structured pacing. What we ask is that when you're making the decision between Fulton Virtual and Georgia Virtual, that you are honest with yourself and that your student is honest with himself and herself, and that you choose the platform that's best for you. If you know that you are going to forget about it and never log on, you might want to do Gavs so that it keeps you on track. If you know that you're not good at anything that you can't see someone helping you with, then you might not need to do virtual at all. So those are things to take into consideration. That's a family conversation. But once you make your decision, you will pick your classes during registration, and then we will get you where you need to go. The final option for a course for a rising senior is dual enrollment. So writing dual enrollment on your registration form is not going to put you in dual enrollment. That is a completely separate process. It has an application. It has a lot of other things that go into it that you have to complete before you can be in the dual enrollment program. So you can't just write it down and be in it. You actually have to apply to the college through the dual enrollment. We have an information night coming up January 18th at 6 p.m. in the auditorium. That's next Thursday. This option is optimal for students who are extremely responsible. So if you're a parent listening to this presentation and you want your student doing dual enrollment, and you realize that you're the one reading about dual enrollment, and you're the one coming to the dual enrollment night, and you're the one completing the application, that is your first indicator that this is not a good choice for your child. It's not that your student is not smart. It is that if your student does not have the drive to research this and read a couple of paragraphs, that they are not going to have the drive to check their email on a regular basis. Because when they go to college, the college only reaches out to the student. They do not reach out to me. They do not reach out to the parents. They do not share grade updates. There are so pretty much every semester I'm surprised by, wow, I had no idea this kid was failing. And then the other thing to consider is that your college GPA begins when you start taking dual enrollment courses. So if your student takes college English and completely fails it, that goes in as an F on their college transcript and their college GPA has begun. This can cause a slew of issues later when your student is trying to keep the Hope Scholarship and now they have an F factoring into their freshman GPA. They have to work twice as hard to keep it. I mean, this on paper, dual enrollment sounds great, and it is great for the right student. So again, have those honest conversations, decide, is this a good fit for my child? If it is, great. There is a page on our counseling website that has all of the information on what to do. It's missing a couple of updated pages. I'm still waiting on an updated dual enrollment contract from the county, but when I have it, it will be on the website. So just keep an eye on that and read through the process and come to the dual enrollment night. We will also have a representative from Gwinnett Tech there who can help answer questions directly from a college on what they can expect. So that's really great. The bottom piece does not necessarily pertain to you if you're a rising senior because seniors are guaranteed parking, but if you're a parent of a rising junior and senior, only the senior is guaranteed parking no matter what. Junior course choices are not exceptions to the rule. Because at the end of the day, a student can take a full schedule of classes in person and graduate on time. Taking onlines and dual enrollment is not a necessity. In the event that we have a schedule change request, which we do hold very small schedule change periods in the fall and the spring, there are strict parameters. They're on a limited basis, but I'll run through those. So again, reiterate that the choices you're making during registration are considered to be final. We create the master schedule. We staff this building based on the things that you say that you want. We trust that. And there's a lot that happens once you make those choices. It's not just clicking a few buttons. When we have our schedule change period, we do have a few parameters where we will allow a change, and those are as follows. Student needs a course to graduate. So a senior, if you need health or personal fitness, or you need a core class, we will make whatever changes we need to get you your graduation requirements. If you need an additional course for college admission, so maybe you fell in love with a school in California and realized, oh my gosh, I need an intro to art credit. I want to take intro to art. We'll do that for you. If you want to drop a course, so seniors are able to drop one course per semester as part of the senior reduced course load. You have to be on track to graduate. There are a few parameters. There's a separate form you have to sign, parents have to sign, and you have to give that to your counselor to have a reduced course load. If you earn a 70 or lower in a course and you are requesting to change the course or drop down in rigor, that's for all grade levels. If you have not taken and passed a prerequisite, for example, if you got dropped into ceramics 1, but you've never taken intro to art, we need to take you out of ceramics and put you in art. If you have not displayed the skills to continue in a year-long course and the teacher is recommending you drop down, we can never force a student to drop out of a class, but we will document the teacher's recommendation because they see a lot of things that we don't on a daily basis. So we strongly trust teachers' recommendations. If your student has an incomplete schedule, so that means if you have a hole in your schedule of nothing scheduled fifth period, we will fix that. If you have duplicate classes, maybe you got scheduled for health again, but you took it freshman year, or other obvious errors. Maybe there's 2 periods of economics on there. You don't need that, we'll fix it. And then if you have an IEP or ELL plan, I guess I could say, we will make sure that you are scheduled properly so that you're getting your services. Any schedule that does not meet these criteria is subject to denial. Please remember these are requests, they are not guarantees. And full year courses are just that, they're full year. Finally, for the last time, we do not permit students to move back and forth from online to in-person. So please pick the type of classes that you want to take during registration. A few important resources that we have available for you are the Milton Course Catalog, Fulton Virtual Course Catalog, Georgia Virtual Course Catalog, our athletics page, our clubs page, and the counseling website. If you hover over these images, they are hyperlinked to take you where you need to go. Georgia Virtual and Fulton Virtual, they will more than likely update their catalogs with summer and fall courses around March. The Milton Course Catalog is in the final stages of being updated for the 24-25 school year, and that should be updated within a week or two, but the link will remain the same. It's just the document you'll see will upload to 24-25. A few save the dates. So January 9th is our club and elective fair from 5:30 to 6:30. So if you were interested in learning about different electives or clubs, you can attend that. And then our Rising Ninth information night follows from 6:30 to 7:30. January 17th is our AP night. So if you're interested in learning about AP courses, highly recommend coming to that event. It's from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. It will start in the Milton Auditorium. January 18th is the dual enrollment information night. If you think that you might want to participate in dual enrollment next school year, please attend that. That's from 6 to 8 p.m., again in the auditorium. And we're partnered with Peachtree College Planning, so they do a lot of virtual events. They hold them at noon and at 7 p.m. so that it works for the majority of people. We release the registration in the Eagle Update, and January 23rd, they will be presenting on college selection and finding the right college. And on March 5th, they will be presenting their college jumpstart. So if you have a current 9th through 11th grader, definitely hop on the college jumpstart one when we release the registration material. We really enjoy working with Peachtree College Planning. And finally, stay connected. Add us on Twitter at RepM Counselors, Instagram at Milton Counseling. We have a YouTube channel. It's Milton High School Counseling. We have an independent counseling website, miltoncounseling.org. We will be merging with the Fulton County Milton website, primarily so that we can have tech support and unlimited data space because we have a lot of information to move over. But all of it will be the same. We will continue to update it. We will continue to provide you with as much information as possible. You will just see us slowly transitioning over to the Milton website. So if you have additional questions, please reach out to your assigned counselor. I really appreciate you being here for the presentation. Try not to be overwhelmed by the process as long as you take the time to think through your options, talk with your friends, talk with your family, talk with anyone whose opinion matters to you. Talk with your teachers, see why you're being recommended or why you're not being recommended. This next 2 months are the time to have these conversations. So I appreciate you again. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.